Hey everyone, welcome to the show, episode 53, Preseason. We're going to talk about all the clubs. We're going to talk about what they've done. We're going to break it into a few different chunks. So the first lot, we're going to do the Adelaide Crows, Brisbane, Collingwood, Carlton. So I'm going to go four. So let's talk. Obviously, the Crows are first in line, sitting in alphabetical order, so we don't miss all the clubs. And after a bit of a disappointing end to the year in finals, after a tremendous actual proper season, during a season where they finished top of the ladder, and finals didn't quite make it for them. So they obviously dropped out in straight sets. And let's talk about the preseason they had. So we're gonna look it up. So we got Josh Shirley, absolutely dominating. Kicked a handful of goals, played a lot of midfield time, but also, as he does, kicked a bag of goals up forward when he's resting or within through the midfield. So yeah, Isaac Rankin and Jake Saligo starting at half forward, was reported, but also Saligo was running laps just recently, so maybe he's battling a bit of an injury, which indicating that he may start off the half forward, so just to be seen. And obviously Dan Curtin was the standout player throughout the preseason. Unfortunately, dislocated his kneecap during a wrestling exercise, which has caused a bit of controversy with a lot of people thinking the training wasn't right. But look, a text did come out during the week to confirm that's just the training they do and it's nothing different. And unfortunately, that sort of stuff happens, which I have to, does happen. Injuries do happen. But the amount of injuries they've got is questionable. So is the training right? So, there's always those two sides to the story. But as you can imagine, he's seen enough footy texts. He's called it to be just, that's just what they do. And unfortunately, injuries happen. Sid Draper, unfortunately, did a groin, so he's had a very interrupted preseason. The high draft pick from previous draft, best SA player of last year's draft, so he was quite high. I think he was pick 5 that he went to Adelaide. And so he pulled a groin, and he's looked quite sore. They're saying that he may not be impacted for the actual season, but he's not going to play any preseason games, so there's that one there. Ben Keys pulled a hamstring, but did see him running around, tackling, putting the general pressure that he does. He's that little barometer in the forward line for the Crows. Great work off the half forward. When he's up and out, the pressure is on, but those hamstrings are going to feel that pressure. There's no doubt about that. But obviously, if he can get it through. Obviously, Mark Keane had a big injury, fractured leg from the collision with Indy Cotton. Got that one wrong. From the collision with Finbar Marley. So there was no dirty malice act in that. It was just a pure forward versus defender collision. Unfortunately, the lower part of his leg is fractured, which he held on the ground. It was quite a lot of pain. So he was scooting around on those little mobility scooters today at training, from what I've seen actually on just previous footage I've seen. So he is, probably an important part. I have said through the stuff with Adelaide that they do lack a key defender. They're going to be really relying on Jordan Butts now and Worrell. But they obviously are quite big players. So, but also, some players that had interrupted pre-seasons as well. Calamachi. Jake Saligo, as I mentioned. But everyone else, has been pretty fit and firing. They do have a couple of rock in there. There's just that carrying on from last year and whether they can, with a harder draw this year, keep up with that momentum. So let's just get my notes. We're going to the Brisbane Lions. We're going to the reigning premiers. Let's see what they have been doing. Obviously, they've had a few players like Oscar Allen come into the lineup who has played injured over the years, or has quite an injury-ridden career, sorry. So let's just talk about, did he make it on the track for pre-season? Let's talk about that. So obviously, Lachie Neale is dominant in the centre bounces. Zach Bailey's blending in a bit more on the midfield than he is off the half forward. Obviously has a big contract coming up. And is he going to be told that, he's going to get more midfield time to try and endorse him to stay and sign that next contract? So yeah, Dane Zorko obviously stays that classy halfback role. He's just got such a talented man for his age. He still plays absolute great football. He's took a lot more kick-ins. Coleman as well, he's back after, unfortunately having an ACL injury. And, a few setbacks with that. And he's been playing the half-back, so they're only going to get better off the half-back. Will Ashcroft, absolute gun. Another Norm Smith medal for the man. He's put on some size, and I absolutely think he's going to have a breakout year. We'll see how it goes. It can ebb and flow a bit, but he actually has put on more size, and if he can keep his size and speed, watch out. Obviously, Darcy Fort played ruck and also went up forward, so he's a dual position. Maybe resting up forward with Draper coming in at the lineup. Maybe Draper takes that key position role. Darcy Wilmot, obviously absolute beast off the half back. There's no doubt that he'll either be off the half back or could move into a wing. That's what I'm sort of seeing with Coleman coming back, or running the two quick half backs off that. But yeah, Sam Draper's still missing due to his injury. Dunkley obviously has missed a fair bit of the preseason due to shoulder surgery, so probably their heart and soul, their defensive midfielder, and most recognised midfielder from a defensive aspect is missing. Players like Tom Doedee has struggled with injury, obviously. Lincoln McCarthy's still coming back. Dan Annabelle hasn't done much of a preseason, along with Jasper Fletcher. Sam Marshall, though, has had a role on the wing. He's just obviously getting into the lineup still and trying to cement his spot after being a very high draft pick and played quite well. So, yeah, I mean, Oscar Allen has been training back of late and has kicked goals up forward. He's going to be a permanent forward for the Brisbane Lions. Levi Ashcroft, on the half forward actually, and some wing and a mixed amount of roles. He's just going to be Mr. Glue it, put him where you need it, he'll do it. Bruce Ravel on the wing. So there's a few players that they're trialling from a wing aspect. It's the one position that must be up for grabs in that lineup. That is such a tough lineup to get into. And that wraps up the reigning premiers, folks. That is pretty solid news. There's not much that changes. They've got competition off the wing. You got to cement a spot off the half back. They've got key position forwards, folks. They've got so many players. Like, that's just not even talking about some of the premiership players that are included in that lineup, like Gardner and the defensive stuff like Harish Andrews. Obviously, they're veteran players now. They know what it takes to be in the AFL lineup. And I think that covers them quite well, folks. So we're going to talk about the Blues next. We're going to get through all this. Just give me 1 sec. It takes a sec to find. Obviously, Nick Newman's coming back from an injury. Arguably their best player in the lineup alongside Patrick Cripps. Let's talk about what roles. Jesse Moplop's unfortunately done an ACL, folks, so he was out, which is sad. I like the Moplops. His dad was a good player at Adelaide. Much respect. Yeah, Elijah Hollins has been working hard as he's obviously gone through, quite a few things outside of football, and he's had to make the hard yards after doing, not the right thing by himself or the club. And I'd like to see a good redemption story. People do deserve second chances. Campbell Chesser, as he's moved from West Coast, looks to be a good outside midfielder. Obviously highly rated as a junior. He's moved back home for an opportunity to play for a club in Victoria at home. So more comfortable being home. Liam Reedy, obviously coming over from Fremantle. Played a lot in the Waffle. Great player, size and frame. He's just played sort of a lock in the ruck, but also basically played down forward. He'll slide into the Tom DeConing role that was in the lineup. Look, it's all up to him now. He gets a full chance of AFL football, and he's come in well sized. He's not coming in as like a first or second year player. He's coming in like well sort of developed. I see him being that sort of player that can fill in and help hitting that. I think that's very important. Sam Welsh as well. He looks quite good after his injury concerns. Good to see. Very high. I think he was the number one pick. I can't quite remember at the moment, but we'll go with that. I'm pretty sure it was the number one pick. The Blues fans will scold me for not remembering that, but I generally am on the ball, thinking of stuff off the top of my head. So he is an absolute gun. I hope you're over your back injuries, mate. No one likes to see back injuries. They suck. So, don't get a back injury, folk. You have one back like you have one set of eyes. So, or pair of eyes, however you want to name it. There we go, folks. Bit of comedic relief for the day. So, Jackson Ison was impressive as well. Made debut early. Well, the Canberra brothers, they look like they're going to dig in for another pre-season. Obviously, Lucas played 3 games last year. South Australian lads, Scott Canberra's boys, would be great to see them get in the lineup and represent Carlton, because that's where their dad's a premiership player, so why not? Patrick Cripps, Jacob Wadering, obviously always prime standout movers for them. Nick Newman, obviously, is moving well after his knee issues, but I think he's had a few setbacks, but playing that halfback role. And Jager Smith, he was wearing the non-contact stuff early in the year, but seems to be moving fine back into it. He is absolute, watch out for him. I think he's got a point to prove. He was a high draft pick, and he just wants to play some AFL. I think he would have put a bit more size on. He did look a little bit undersized to come in and play against men. So, in hindsight, it's not good doing an E, but in the good stuff out of it is he's had a lot of time to hit the gym, put the weight on. Let's hope he stays on the track, folks. Cooper Lord looked good. Oliver Florian and Will Hayward also are doing the hard yards, and they're the new team, fresh faces. Half forward. Oliver, he could probably play different positions if he needed to. Bit of a fill-in man for the Blues. But Will Hayward, obviously South Australian, coming from a great team like Sydney, he's just going to add a lot of experience. Ainsworth as well. It'd be interesting to see if they just put him as a half forward, or put him in a different position. Maybe even give him a run through the guts. Harry Dean, absolute, one of the best centre backs coming out of that countryside. Absolute, father son, looks to be, quite ready to play a centre back role. So the Blues have a bit of help there with Wadering. Obviously not the size of a full back, but a centre back is important. I find that, that's the Blues, folks. We'll see how they go. The Blues are going to be an interesting one. And now we're going to talk about the Pies, folks. The Collingwood Magpies. Just give me 1 sec. It's going to take a sec. I know, obviously, Houston's coming off a hip injury. There's a few injuries, I think, Mick Stay has hurt himself through his shoulder or something. I can't quite remember off the top of my head now. There's been a few. Nick Dacos has had a few things irritating over the preseason, but I think the last thing I heard, he was back. Dacos, DeGoey still getting his body right, but still coming back. Josh Dacos, meaning that he should be 100% okay. A bit of interrupted preseason for some of the key Magpie players. Bobby Hills, still got personal stuff happening, but also battling a few things with his body. Was running laps as well. As Darcy Moore's still rehabbing, going through his injury, I don't know if he'll be ready for round one. There's Dan Houston, Jeremy Howe. I think Jeremy Howe's groin. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. Reef McInnes. So there's a few players. Lockie Sullivan had an injury scare. He's been battling but coming back, I believe. PCO, I'm not too sure with that. If there's any sort of later news. Taj Woden and Will Phillips have started training with the VFL team who could push for a mid-season draft spot. So Taj Woden was at Melbourne. I think he got delisted. So isn't that funny? I think didn't his dad go from Melbourne winning a Brownlow to go on to Collingwood? I can't remember if it was the other way around. Vice versa, it doesn't matter. He played for either club, and it's funny now he's at the Pies. Can he absolutely dominate for the Pies? I'm pretty sure that he went from Melbourne to the Pies. Harvey Harrison coming back off an ACL looks to put on a bit more size, and also Scott Pendry still training with the defensive group, so he'll be running off the half back. Jath, Demidia, Allen, Ryan have all started their preseason quite strongly. So some of the young Pies doing okay. That gives us, I believe I just did the 4 of them there. Let me just count. Adelaide, Brisbane, Carlton, Collingwood. There you go, folks. Should we do one more, or should we just pump them out in the next one? What are we sitting at? We're sitting at nearly 20 minutes. I might just do a couple of episodes where we're just going to put them out within 20 minutes. Let you guys watch, maybe not so much of the longer ones because it is a bit tiring. And in the modern day, it is hard to watch a full episode. I'm pretty happy with that. We're gonna do a couple more. I'll do another one tomorrow. We'll do the next lot of 4 teams. Starting from Essendon, I believe that's the next one. So we'll go from Essendon, Geelong, Gold Coast, GWS. I may have got mixed that up. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, folks. We don't have a script here, folks. We just run by what's going on. We have a chat. Like and subscribe. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the podcast. And then we're going to have a State Origin special as well. We're going to talk about the teams. The WA versus Victoria. It's going to be absolute epic. Footy is back, folks. We're starting up. So get prepared. The season is just about to begin. It's almost there. Been a long wait without footy. We're almost there. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.